Hello everybody and welcome back to the Bourbon Bar. I'm Holden and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a review of two whiskeys that are new and fresh on the market. So these two whiskeys are both from Bardstown Bourbon Company and they're made 100% of Bardstown's own distillate. Now this is new because Bardstown typically will source from other distilleries, MGP, other places in Tennessee that rhyme with pickle, even Canada, Ontario, things like that. So they source from all over the place, but these bottles are filled with their own distillate, 100% distillate from them at Bardstown, and they're 6 years old. So, that being said, I hope you guys are excited to watch this video. If you are, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel before we get started. That being said, so we have two bottles here, both from Bardstown. They're called the Origin series. So, basically, this is going to be Bardstown's mainstay whiskey in their kind of like lineup because it's their own distillate. Now the white label over here, that's Bardstown's Origin Series Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. This one is the High Rye, what everyone's calling it, but it is 96 proof and it has a mash bill of 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley, and it's aged 6 years. This one over here is a Bottled in Bond Origin Series. It's also a bourbon. And it's 100 proof, and the mash bill of this one is a wheater. It's got 68% corn, 20% wheat, and 12% malted barley. So we have a Bottled in Bond wheated, and we have a High Rye at 96 proof. So, yeah, that being said, let's bust right into these bottles and give you guys a review and let you know how it tastes. I've had a little bit of these, and they're both really good. I think Bardstown did a good job with being their first distillate, and personally I love the Discovery series from Bardstown, so I do typically like their blends, and I can imagine someone with a palate good enough for blending can definitely put out a product that is good enough on its own. That being said, we're going to start over here with the Bardstown 96 proof High Rye Bourbon on the nose. Now, ooh, this one is very light fruitiness in it. It's definitely got some like zesty notes, some orange peel in here, along with like a nice caramel in here. It's not like overly sweet in the aspect that it's like desserty, but it is very like fruit and spice forward. I'm definitely getting a little bit of like some nice cinnamon in here, a good amount of spice as well. It does smell light and vanilla-y and like a metallic vanilla frosting. Overall, it honestly smells pretty great, but let's go ahead and get it on the palate. Ooh, okay. So, initially up front, this has a decent amount going on in it. It's actually very sweet up front. It's got like a metallic vanilla frosting type note right on the front of the palate, but as it moves toward the back, it is getting a little bit of like that orange fruitiness coming through, and then once you move all the way to the back of the palate, you're getting some oak along with some very good spice. The finish offers a good amount of spice. It actually is drinking pretty hot for only being 96 proof. I'd say that the cinnamon is coming through in here, maybe a little bit of allspice, so you can definitely tell that it's a High Rye bourbon. It's drinking well above its of its class, and this is 45 bucks, so like it's drinking pretty strong for a $45 96 proof juice, but not in an astringent way. It's not astringent in any means, but let's get one more sip before we move on to the other one. Yeah, it's light fruity, a little bit of that caramel's coming through to the back in the palate, but not a whole lot. It is it does maybe have a little bit of like a red fruit in there as well, but overall, lots of spice, especially in the finish, which is awesome, and I like that. I like that a lot. But let's go ahead and move on to the one that I'm more inclined to liking. Now this one is a Bottled in Bond and wheated. I personally love wheaters. I actually like wheated bourbons usually more than I like High Rye bourbons. But let's go ahead and get this one tasted and see how I like this one. Ooh, on the nose, this one's delicate. It's like desserty. It's definitely got a bready aspect to it that is very typical for me when I'm drinking a wheated bourbon, is that I usually get a bready aspect. Also, it's like a nice like cinnamon roll, like a freshly cooked cinnamon roll. It's got like the glaze on top, but it's definitely got that like fresh pastry type vibe in the nose here. It does smell delicate and like soft. It definitely smells like it's a wheater, obviously. I'm getting a little bit of like chocolate in there too. Chocolate is a really good note for this one. But let's go ahead and get this one on the palate. Oh. Okay. So this one definitely takes a darker route. And I'd say, based on the labels, if you're going to compare white versus black labels, it definitely kind of takes after its label. It's got a lot of darkness in it, some good chocolate notes. It's soft on the palate, not nearly as strong as the high rye, but that's because this comes with so much spice, where this one's very well-rounded, easy to drink. It actually feels lower proof, even though it's higher proof at Bottled and Bond. Now, that chocolate note is really strong in the mid palate going through into the finish. The finish is offering a very large amount of oak, and like, it's just like, honestly, it's an easy sipper. It's very sweet. It's kind of got like a marshmallowy like caramely vibe in it, especially up front in the beginning of the palate. But like, I'd say brown sugar would be a good note for this one as well. I mean, honestly, it's easy to drink. There's a little bit of like a dark red fruit in this one. I'd say cherries is definitely going to be the fruit that'll get in this one, but it's not fruit forward by any means. Definitely pastry-ish. Got some chocolate, got some baked goods in there. Very good. Now, before we get to the grading portion, this is a great time for you guys to go and hit the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And please leave a comment on the video if you guys have had this Origin series, or if you're looking forward to the Origin Rye. That should be coming out very soon. And let me know which is your favorite of the two of these. Moving on, my personal favorite for these, I honestly think that the wheater is going to take the edge, just by a little bit. I actually originally thought I liked the high rye better because that light fruitiness was really good, but I really am liking the dark chocolatey like notes coming out of the wheated bourbon here. So now we'll move on to the grading portion, and you guys know how this works. You got nose, palate, and then value for the money. Now, starting with the high rye on the nose, I'd say the nose is pretty great. The nose, I would probably go ahead and give a 7.8 out of 10. It is just a 6-year-old mainstay bourbon. It's only 96 proof, so it doesn't have like the most extravagant flavors, but it is really nice. Now, on the palate of this one, I really like the spice in the back end. I like the punch that it has, and the fact that it hits above its weight class. I'd have to give the palate an 8.4 out of 10. But now on the value for the money, this one is probably where these two bottles shine the most, because at $45, which is MSRP for these, this is like, it's really good juice. I mean, for 45 bucks, this is phenomenal. I'd probably always have one on my shelf. If I ever ran out of it, I'd probably buy another one. So $45, I'd say that gets an 8.5 out of 10. So the overall for the high rye is going to go ahead and come out to an 8.2 out of 10, which is a pretty great score for a bourbon of this caliber. Now we're going to move on to the wheated mash bill. Now the wheated mash bill on the nose definitely seems lighter and more delicate. I'd honestly say the nose is like one of the better parts of the wheated mash bill's experience. I'd give the nose a 7.9 out of 10. On the palate, it's got that great chocolatey note and oak presence in there. It almost makes it feel a little bit older than it is, and it's quite easy to drink, which can sometimes be bad, but in this case, it's definitely helping this whiskey. I would have to give this palate an 8.5 out of 10, and then value for the money being basically the same price as the high rye. But for the value for the money, I'm gonna have to go with an 8.5 out of 10 as well, just edging out this at an average of 8.3 out of 10. So this gets an 8.2, this bad boy gets an 8.3. If you guys see them, I think you should pick them up both if you like them both flavor profile wise. But if you guys like wheaters, this is a great choice for 45 bucks. And if you like high rye bourbons, definitely grab this one for 45 bucks. You guys can't go wrong with Bardstown. They know what they're doing. They're putting out good juice, and it's finally their own distillate. So you know that they're gonna be like, they're going to be even and normal with all these. You're going to get a lot of consistency with this. So that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. Also check out my Patreon. Link is down in the description. I'm probably going to do something with these two whiskeys and the Bardstown Discovery series on the Patreon. So definitely click on the link to my Patreon if you guys are interested in that. $2 or $5 tier members. Anything you guys contribute would help me out a ton. So thank you all for being here. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you all in the next class.